we have river, creek, chuan, and in the old writing they drew it V's from top to bottom, left to right, and that has now changed to this form of writing. So this is the word chuan. Also, let's look at another example, which is the sun. In the old script, it was drawn as a circle with a dot in it. So this is what we use to represent sun today. Similarly, if you take the line out of the middle, you have the word mouth, ko. I'm showing it in red because mouth can represent the actual mouth, but it also can represent a person or breath or the whatever's behind or spoken language that comes out of the mouth. Clay, as many of you know, has the cross on top and then a line at the bottom. The cross is the number 10, and then when you are a person or you're a cross, you're standing on the ground. You basically have 10 toes that are dug into the soil, and that's remember. Here's a child walking, learning how to walk, and one of the Chinese character component, also called radical, is walking shown like this, and you see this used in many characters on the left hand side to the bottom whenever it's associated with walking. Now if we bring those three radicals together, we have clay, we have mouth, and we have walking. And if we add the final stroke at the top, which means alive, that's create, or zao. The Lord God formed the man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Who is the secret person in the garden? We knew there was Adam and there was Eve. Who is that third person? And that was the serpent. And so if you look at the radical for secret, it's this character. For person, we have this character. And for garden, we have this. And it looks like a garden. It looks like a field or where you would plant things. And that word, when you bring it all together, with a garden, with another stroke on top, which means alive. So you have a secret person in the garden that's alive, and that's the devil, as the crafty serpent. So let's move on further. What was the devil doing in the garden? The devil plus another radical, which is commonly seen throughout Chinese characters, which is tree. Tree, so the devil was in the tree, or the serpent was in the tree, and it was hidden. It was undercover. It was hidden away secretly, trying to, and if you put all those things together, secret man in the garden that was alive equals devil, plus trees plus cover equals tempter. So let's move on. Here's another word that I found very interesting I've added. It's garden, or yan. Now garden is composed of clay and mouth. So it's representing the creation of Adam. And let's bring in the bottom two words. We have two strokes and another two strokes. Those in red represent a man. So we have a man with another man that's tilted on the side. That could very fact represent, here God created Adam and then created the woman out of Adam. And within the enclosure, which is the garden. Now let's move to the Noah's Ark. So how many people were in the family of Noah? It quoted in 1 Peter 3:20, there were 8 souls that were saved. Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, together with his wife and the wives of his 3 sons. So, total of 8. The number 8 in Chinese is shown here, and the character mouth, or being, or person who has to be fed, besides all the animals on the ark. So, together, we form that with the Chinese word vessel, and you get the word chuan, which is boat. Coincidence again, or is someone, when they were creating these characters, were they trying to remember the story of the flood in this character, chuan? Even the word flood has some meaning behind it, and many know that in Chinese history it contains an account of some type of worldwide flood. So, taking the words of flood, we have, and decomposing it, we have 8 plus united plus one earth equals total plus water, which is this three lines, equals flood. And in fact, in the ancient pictograph script, it's even more evident. You see a circle with two squiggly lines in it, which looks like water over the earth with two hands uniting it, and the number 8 at the bottom. Water. After the flood in Noah's Ark, about 100 years later, you have the Tower of Babel. And that's where all the sons and grandsons of Noah then started to build the tower. Now, the whole earth had one language at that time and one speech. And they said, let's come together and make some bricks and bake them thoroughly, and let's build a tower which will reach heaven, the tower whose top is in the heavens. So there was a lot of pride there, and of course God, the Lord, did not care for this. And the Lord said, indeed the people are one, and they all have one language. And the Lord decided to confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So this is Genesis 11:5-7. He said, okay, I'm going to create a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion. I'm going to create little pockets of different languages. So people couldn't communicate. They couldn't bake their bricks. They couldn't build the tower. And what did? They broke off into tribes, and they traveled far and wide. So let's look at the key ancient Chinese radicals for each of these components. We have bricks, which were made using grass and clay. And man, one, and mouth are shown here. So mankind is in red. One is the straight line across, and mouth is what we've seen in the past. So mankind had one language, and they were building bricks out of grass and clay. And put all these together, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 components, and you get the word ta, which is tower. Which is also used, this tower word is also used for a pagoda in the ancient China, which was also used to try to reach heaven. So not only is the word representative of what was behind the story of the Tower of Babel, but also the cultural building of towers was brought into China, with pagodas being seen everywhere. Now, this is the year of the ox, we know that, and on the left-hand side we have a picture of the ox and Niu, which is the Chinese character for ox. We have Yang, which is shown there next to it. Look at this other radical component, which means sword, okay, in green on the right-hand side. If we bring all those together, we bring together Niu, we bring together Yang, and we bring together sword, we have the word sacrifice. And not only that, what's circled in yellow means unblemished or beautiful. So in the actual Chinese word of sacrifice, you have Niu, Yang, which are ox and sheep, unblemished, with a sword. And we're going to look at Deuteronomy 17 in the Old Testament, which said, do not sacrifice to the Lord your God an ox or a sheep that has any defect or flaw in it, for that would be detestable. So again, is this coincidence, or were the old traditions of the Old Testament carried forward as the tribe moved into China? Now let's look at similar components, but add in the hand. So the hand is in fuchsia there, and we combine that with the sword. When I am holding a sword, I'm talking about me, and the two together is wo, which means me. That's very interesting, but now let's combine that with the previous word we just saw, which is sheep. So if we take sheep, Yang, with the hand, with the sword together, and put the sheep over me, or the lamb over me, that word becomes righteousness.